Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's that time of the year. The official Blamwagon Top 10 Albums of 2026 list, you already know the vibes. If you've been around for a while, if you're a recurring viewer, you might have a little bit of an understanding about what the list might look like going in. But for those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for your support. And buckle in, because I've got some takes in here. Now I know what you're thinking, Riley, why do you look so handsome and dashing in this video in particular? It's a big day. Big occasion calls for big boy suit. So I don't want to hear any more lip about it, okay? I'm serious. Now, without further ado, I got my handy dandy list right here. Let's just get right into it. Shit. Fuck. Stupid. It's just stupid. I knew I should have done that stupid fucking bit. That was so pointless. It wasn't even funny. Honorable mentions. I was quite rocking with Anna von Hauswolf's Iconoclast from last month. Quite a larger-than-life cinematic album. It's very surreal and very haunting, very jazzy and otherworldly. It's both chaotic and beautiful in its own right. Sort of outstays its welcome in general, hence why it didn't make the top 10 list, but it got very close. Also quite rocking with Lotus by Little Sims, which feels quite different than her past work, specifically Sometimes I Might Be Introvert and No Thank You. But it's a more intimate and personal, vulnerable record, which I can really appreciate and respect, especially given the context of the record and the lore that accompanies it. Pretty much banger after banger. If you're looking for some good conscious hip hop, that's your bag right there. Also really rocking with Kali Uchis Sincerely. Dreamy, mesmerizing, luscious. Her vocals are so wonderful and consistent on this thing. It's the catchiest that Uchi has ever sounded, in my opinion. The lyricism doesn't quite stand out to me, hence why it didn't make the top 10 list, but it's still absolutely worth your time. Also rocking with the new Black Country New Road record, Forever How Long. Very different in comparison to their last work, For the First Time and Ants From Up There. But these guys are on the come up. Some of the most talented young instrumentalists of our generation. So meticulously chaotic and strategically messy. Clever song concepts, fantastic and elegant vocals, building and swelling cacophonies of instrumentation. This thing is quite a beast. And I'm also rocking with the new Backwash record, Only Dust Remains, which shows the ugliest, most vulnerable sides of depression and hopelessness that Backwash struggles with, which shows in its brutally honest lyricism and its chaotically disorienting production. Intense and grandiose, with some incredibly unique vocals that make for a quite memorable experience. But that's enough for our honorable mentions. Let's jump into our top 10 spot, that being... I want your things in my room, I miss you all the time. I start myself on the internet just to see what you'll find. Pressure by Julia Wolf. Elegantly grungy, dirty, and raw in its entirety, despite the album cover being quite grating to look at. The record is quite lush and dense and layered. I was surprised jumping into this to see how glitchy, electronic, and pop forward the record could be at times. Really rocking with the sound on this thing. It feels both nostalgic and melodic, and also broken in a strategic and intentional way. Really rocking with her demeanor and voice, reminding me of a unique blend of Ethel, Cain, and Phoebe Bridgers, two artists that I quite adore. The mixing is a little bit messy and disorienting at times, but a lot of that feels intentional, because this thing is alt-rock through and through, despite there being elements of hyperpop and electronic. I've been spinning tracks on this thing like it's no one's business, my favorite of which being Kill You Off, Fingernails, Jennifer's Body, In My Room, and You've Lost a Lot of Blood. I am very excited to see where Julia Wolf takes her sound from here, because if this is any indication of where she is going to go, it's nowhere but up. And yeah, give this one a shot if you're into that kind of grunge rock sound. I am a man that's made of me, and you're on the internet looking at me. I hate almost everything that I see. At number 9, we've got the new Viagra Boys record, Viagra Boys, which is as absurd as they come, truly. One of the audiest and danciest records to come out of this year. It's a bit of a strange listen, admittedly, especially in the lyricism department, but I'm just loving how energetic and silly this thing gets. You know what you're getting into pretty much immediately on the first track when the lead vocalist burps into the mic. It's full of critique and commentary on the most disgusting elements of society and animalistic human nature. The lead vocalist is kind of just rambling into the microphone, and while everything is obviously like strategically worded, it does feel very sporadic, which is very fun. I'm absolutely loving the dance punk roots fused with some fantastically executed horns and string work on this thing. Tracks like Man Made of Meat, The Bog Body, Uno 2, and Dirty Boys have remained in my rotation for months at this point. Some of the material on here even reminds me of some old LCD sound systems, so kind of my bread and butter. I'm really rocking with this one in its totality. At number 8, we've got Ninajirachi's I Love My Computer, which in my opinion is one of the greatest EDM releases of the last decade. The record lives and breathes Gen Z, with the bulk of the material on this record referencing relationships with computers, technology, and the internet, and how Ninajirachi's exposure to these influenced her into the person and artist that she is today. The production on here is some of the craziest shit that I've heard in a long while, with nearly every track feeling incredibly airtight, complex, layered, and terminally online. The sound feels very reminiscent of Sophie, Charlie XCX, and even like a little bit of Porter Robinson. Favorite tracks being London Song, iPod Touch, Fuck My Computer, Delete, and Info Hazard. Really digging this record and its concept. It feels truly authentic and experienced, which is a rarity when it comes to a commentary on technology and the internet. Can't wait to see what Ninajirachi does next.
Tattered feathers became the Achilles heel, chasing affinity to describe how sunshine feels under red moon. Black sun, father figure, mama's gun, back room, one of one dance, circles raise him up. Ha ha, you seen it too, right?
At number 7, we've got Magic Alive by McKinley Dixon, which is a unique, whimsical, and profound concept record questioning and wrangling the concept of death through 3 friends who use magic to bring their dead friend back to life. Dixon is an undeniably powerful MC with plentiful vocal range and a charismatic, versatile performance. The backing production is also an absolute standout, much like his last record, feeling so dense, so layered, and so grandiose that you really feel like you're in the room with a live band. Both the vocals and the instrumentation flow together like water, which makes the whole record feel so cohesive and incredibly paced. The record feels so much more refined and focused than his record from 2023, Beloved Paradise Jazz. 2026 was the year of the jazz rap. We got so many wonderful jazz rap records, but this one truly comes out on top. Just such a fun record to live with. And we should be looking out for this guy because he has some heat on his hands. Favorite tracks being Sugar Water, Run 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 Part 2, All the Loved Ones, and Magic Alive. Give this one a shot if you're into jazz rap. You're gonna dig it. At number 6, we've got Getting Killed by Geese. Geese was one of the most interesting groups to jump on my radar in the last year after hearing their 2023 release, 3D Country, a wildly experimental and inventive blend of indie rock, alt country, and post-punk of all things. Getting Killed contributes to that trend of genre-bending oddball vocal quirks and explosive production, but feels a little more grounded in an art rock sound palette akin to that of Radiohead. Its momentum builds and carries itself from start to finish, giving no room to stall or breathe. Cameron Winter's vocals are so confidently unorthodox and feel a little more grounded and established this time around. I'm loving how gnarly the instrumentals on this thing are, specifically on Trinidad, with Cameron Winter screaming at the top of his lungs, "There's a bomb in my car." But I'm equally loving the softer, more tender moments on this thing that incorporate a lot of whimsical, airy production. The energy on tracks like Trinidad, Getting Killed, and Taxes are truly unparalleled. Getting Killed is the best that Geese has sounded thus far in their career, and this is one of the most exhilarating records to come out of 2025.
Uncle said, nigga, you must be sick. All you talk about is just get rich. Choke my neck, nigga, and ice my bitch. Beat the system with chains and whips.
At number 5, we've got Let God Sort 'Em Out by Clipse. Epically grandiose and brutally aggressive, Pusha T is one of my favorite rappers working today with impeccable cadence, flow, and lyricism. I have truly never been disappointed by his presence on either a solo outing or on a feature. Truthfully, I've been kind of unfamiliar with Clipse's game. I didn't really know who Malice was until I hopped into this record, but I'm glad that I did. Pharrell's production on this thing is the most airtight that it has sounded in years. Every track feels larger than life and perfectly complements Push's and Malice's demeanors. And they are coming after everybody on this record. No one is safe, with the most clever lyricism that I have heard this year. Each verse sounds so hungry, passionate, and driven, which makes for an incredibly engaging listen. Neither MCs sound asleep at the wheel here. They're both giving it their all. The features are also fantastic, with Kendrick Lamar, Tyler the Creator, and Nas being the absolute standouts on this thing. Really just an all-killer, no-filler record with very little room for error. Truly amazing stuff, very well deserving of the number 5 spot on this list.
That I'm drinking, I probably is. I found all my answers and bottoms of fears. I got a legend, my blessings and sins. The way that I'm moving, I need to repent me and fall to that praise.
My number 4 spot goes to Egotrip by John Michael and Anthony James. It's quite a rare occasion where an up-and-coming artist blows me away to the degree that John Michael and Anthony James's Egotrip did. The production on this thing is truly next level. The sample flips and the near perfect blend of jazz and rock complement Michael's raspy, hungry, and raw vocals quite beautifully. Every track is so unbelievably catchy and powerful. Everything feels so grandiose and larger than life, oftentimes incorporating swelling choir vocals and bombastic guitar work and percussion. Most notably on tracks like World's End and Preacher, 2 of my favorite cuts off the record. That's not to say that this expressive and dynamic presentation isn't evident on every track on this record, because there truly isn't a dull moment on this thing. The features are all wonderfully executed and complement Michael's verses in every setting. It's one of the most impressive hip-hop records to come out of the last decade, and from a new artist nonetheless. So excited to see where these guys take their sound from here, because the potential should honestly intimidate the industry. Well deserving of my number 4 spot on this list.
I see you in the trenches. I see you in the trenches. I see you in the trenches. I said I see you in the trenches.
Coming in at number 3, we've got Pain to Power by Maruja, which is one of the most exhilarating records that I have heard in a long while. With a cadence and aggression akin to Rage Against the Machine, both in its politically charged songwriting and in its vocal presence. Couple that with the instrumentation of A Black Country New Road and its layered, dense, and overwhelming nature, and boys, we've got a masterpiece on our hands. The orchestration here is bar none, feeling so full of life and complimentary of the lead vocalist. It's jazzy, punky, and aggressively dark, creating an environment with a sound palette that I haven't even heard before. There's a lot of injustice and fear in the world as we know it today, so I find great catharsis in music that acknowledges the pain and suffering all around us so bravely and unabashedly. The record is all killer, no filler, hardly giving the listener time to breathe in between a bombardment of back-to-back raw and visceral energy. Suffice to say, I loved this thing quite a bit. Definitely not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but if you're looking to rage out, this is going to be up your alley. Favorite tracks being Bloodsport, Look Down on Us, Born to Die, Break the Tension, and Trenches. Loving this record so much, gonna love it till the end of time. At number 2, we've got Vanisher, Horizon Scraper by Quadeca. Quad Sporadic, explosive, experimental. This thing is unlike anything that I have heard before. I really enjoyed I Didn't Mean to Haunt You from 2022 being one of the most unique concept records to release that year, as well as containing one of my favorite Quadeca tracks of all time, being Born Yesterday. Vanisher Horizon Scraper, though, feels far different from that effort. It's very rooted still in experimental folktronica, but feels a little bit more intimate and personal to Quadeca and his own internal struggles. It's quite miraculous that this guy did start off as a YouTube rapper and has elevated his craft and vision to the level that it is at today. It's just really impressive, man, for lack of a better word. It's by far his most consistent record to date. Its themes are both potent and refreshing, tapping into escapism, isolation, and belonging. Its sound is both tragic and hopeful. And while it's polished and meticulously crafted, it still feels remarkably homemade, which adds to the charm of the project overall. I've been listening to this album on near repeat. Favorite tracks being Godstained, At a Time Like This, Monday, Dancing Without Moving, and Forgone and Casper. Not only one of my favorite records to come out of this year, but also one of my favorite records I've ever listened to. This guy ate again. How does he do it? Truly. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our number one record of 2025, that being... Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You by Ethel Cain. I mentioned this in my review, but I did listen to this in Iceland, which resulted in one of the most cathartic musical experiences that I have ever had in my entire life. Ethel Cain has for quite some time now been one of my favorite artists to shine in the 2020s. Preacher's Daughter from 2022 was one of, if not my favorite record to come out that year, delivering a beautifully detailed, captivating, and emotionally potent story from start to finish, all while being written incredibly strongly, passionately, and meticulously. So I was really hopeful going into this record after adoring the singles and having a lot of faith in Hayden's creative abilities, and it delivered, obviously. Willoughby Tucker is Hayden's most vulnerable and emotionally demanding work yet, following the Ethel Cain persona and delving even deeper into the beauty and ugliness of love and the effect that past abuse has on someone who so desperately wants to find security in another person, sometimes to the fault of their own. Now, obviously, Ethel Cain is a caricature of Hayden, a fictional vessel to tell a story, but to write a record so uncomfortable, pained, and vulnerable like this, there has to be some part of Hayden in here somewhere. And for that, I commend Hayden and her willingness to expand on the ugliness of love and the awful repercussions anxious attachment has on its victims. As for production, it's more or less the same level of quality as which we saw in Preacher's Daughter, which was already exceptional, only this time a little more refined, a little more focused, and monumental in its momentum and instrumentation. I see a lot of discourse surrounding Ethel Cain and how drawn out some of her material is, but it's of my opinion that those people don't really even understand what makes her music so powerful. Each track is so dense, so layered, and so entrancing that by the time you're enveloped in its swelling buildup, you already feel like you've lived with it long enough to make the payoff worth its time. Her vocals are so lovely as always and really excel the entire project to unbelievable heights. I'm loving this record more than I can even explain here. This is truly a wonderful record, and while it's not as narratively cohesive as Preacher's Daughter, the highs are higher and the music is more powerful than ever before. And as a sensitive lovesick boy myself, this couldn't have hit at a better time for me. Hands down, my favorite album of the year, a perfect 10 out of 10. I don't give those out often. Ethel did it again. Can't say I'm surprised. And oh my God, those are my top 10 albums of 2025. What were your favorite albums of 2025? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments below. Such a fantastic year for music. I know I said that last year, but this year somehow exceeded my expectations. I cannot thank you guys enough, those of you that sit around and listen to me yap about music. Your love and support means the world to me. I love music. I love it so much. And I love being able to talk about it to you guys. So if you like what you saw, give me a like, comment, share, subscribe if you want to see more content just like this, all things music. I'm not going anywhere next year. We've got some more brackets, some more tier lists, more everything I listen to videos. I'm gonna keep rocking and rolling. I'm having a good time with you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if I don't see you before the end of the year, I'll see you in 2026. I'm gonna go change out of this because it's actually so hot in this apartment. And I'm not even wearing pants. So.
Fuck.